So your other sister that you spoke of, not the one that you're best friends with, what type of relationship do you all have?
We're close. We're the kind of friends who talk every day. We're the kind of friends who, if I cut myself, she bleeds. That's just how close we are. She's my girl.
So were you're a close-knit family growing up?
Very close-knit family growing up.
Okay.
I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters and a dad who'd play basketball with us in the yard.
Okay, I'm a big basketball fan, big basketball. But when you were writing your book, I know with every, journey comes obstacles.
Yeah.
Did you face any obstacles writing your book, and how did you go about dealing with them?
Well, I'll tell you that the book kind of tumbled out, so that was the easy part, no framework, no research methodology. The difficult part was, when you're creating characters, you got to keep those people apart. You got to know who belongs to whom.
Right.
And that was kind of difficult. And also, it's like 1 time writing, 8 times editing. So that was the most difficult part, was editing it and providing that flow for the book so that one could pick it up, read through it, and actually be a part of it. And sometimes you find yourself going back and you're having to insert things in order to build something, a character or something that happened, and having to totally remove other parts that just don't fit with the whole.
So I want to talk about this Southern Belle.
Okay.
Growing up as a younger child then, what did Southern Belle mean to you?
I will tell you the truth that as an adult, I never even stopped to think about what a Southern Belle was until this person mentioned it to me sitting in a bar in Hong Kong. Actually, I'm an African American woman from the South. Southern Belle is actually an archetype from the antebellum area. And that's an era where my people weren't exactly the ones who were getting up, putting on the corsets and the big, beautiful dresses and having tea on the porch. So in my mind, a Southern Belle is historically from that particular era. There's a certain quality that was evident in a woman who was called a Southern Belle, even in that period of time. Here was a beautiful young lady who was beautiful, very flirtatious, but at the same time very chaste, usually involved in the arts. She was the one who played the piano or wrote poetry. Not at all adept at doing anything outside of the house, pretty much. And Maxine's older sister is pretty much like that.
So did your family members feel the same way as you as far as the term Southern Belle and what it meant?
Well, I think what happens with any term that you grab out of history, you can take the description of that and move it forward into the current era.
Exactly.
So there is such a thing now. You have a lot of girls who say, hey, I'm a Southern Belle. They don't have a clue about the historical definition.
Right.
But current day, you can move that forward. So I don't think they had a problem with it or an issue with it. But they certainly, the women in my family certainly would not say, oh yeah, that's me, Southern Belle.
And so I think a lot of people who are from the South, they just, they don't really pay attention to the history, and they just like, well, I think a Southern Belle, just a girl from the South, so, they don't really say anything about it. But I know another term that you use in your book, grits, girls raised in the South. Tell us about that.
Well, that's one of those terms, more modern day. In doing some of the research about Southern Belle and trying to make that movement from history into the current day, you'll see a lot of stuff. People refer to themselves as Southern Belle. Grits, that's something that came out about a decade ago, girls raised in the South. Well, there is no racial or economic or social attachment to that term. If you're a girl raised in the South, you're grits.
And that could be any
That could be any girl raised in the South.
Right.
And that's a little bit different, but they kind of equate that and also the term steel magnolias.
Right, and you also mentioned that in your book also.
Even ya-ya sisterhood, they say. All of those are just Southern Belles. And I guess in modern day terms, it could be.
Stay tuned for more of my interview with Dr. Sermons.